Your top three at 3 as we talk about, of course, the heat wave and also everything that's happening across the globe here and gas prices. But we're starting off with that breaking news. Tension surging in the Middle East. Iran launching a missile attack today on a U.S. military base in Qatar, retaliating for the American bombing of its nuclear sites. The announcement was made on state television as martial music played. The attack coming shortly after Qatar closed its airspace as a precaution amid threats from Iran. And now we're learning Israel is launching a new round of attacks on Iran. Today, here with us is United States Marine Corps and Army National Guard veteran John Byrnes. Good to see you here in studio with us.
Thanks for having me on.
Hi, John.
Hi, how are you today?
Good. Let's talk about what's happening out in the Middle East, because clearly this latest attack there in that base just outside of Doha, it seems as though the Qataris are saying that this was in retaliation, but they don't expect, Iran does not expect to attack any of the Qatari people. What does this mean? Is this the end? Is it a tit for tat and now we can maybe go back to diplomatic negotiations?
Well, first, like so many Americans, I'm praying for our service members over there. I hope what you just said is the case. Looking at the analysis with my team, we think that there's a good chance that this was Iran's tit for tat. They specifically warned the Qataris. They aimed basically not to hit our people. So that's all good. We have to see whether President Trump accepts this as a tit for tat and de-escalates, which is what we're hoping for. De-escalation and diplomacy should be able to start over now.
Well, usually, I mean, you've been, you know about combat. Typically, you don't warn that something's coming. And it seems as though everyone, the major players, if you will, knew. Qatar knew. Even the United States knew. Earlier this morning, there was warning from the U.S. to evacuate the embassy in Doha. They had, for the most part, evacuated many of their bases in that region, knowing that this was the potential. And the Qataris had a release ready to go while these missiles were still being launched. And it was 14 of them, they said, symbolic, as it was the same amount that had been thrown over those 3 nuclear sites in Iran. So what's next here? If it is symbolic, if it is for a tit for tat, can they go back to this table to negotiate? I know that the Iranians had met with the Europeans on Friday and said that they were not willing to negotiate any further.
I hope so. The fact was not only were the Qataris warned, but there was enough warnings that the UAE and Kuwait were able to clear their airspace as well. The Gulf states have been, talking to the Iranians. So there's an opening there for our administration, the Trump administration, to work through the Qataris, through the Kuwaitis, and others. De-escalation. This really should be the moment, right? Like, we blew up their nuclear facility. They did nothing but like shoot missiles around our bases. That's very encouraging. Mm-hmm. That's very encouraging. Obviously, if it continues to escalate, we could see attacks on shipping. We could see cyber attacks. And of course, with the Iranians, it could be terrorism. So this is the perfect moment for President Trump to say, all right, we destroyed their nuclear site. They missed all our bases. Let's go back to the table.
Okay. And you bring up the potential for what could come next on the nefarious side. The Iranians had said that there are sleeper cells within the United States, that they're looking to awaken them to attack Americans' bases where they're their primary target. It seems as though they did that, but in a symbolic way, knowing that potentially, hopefully, there would be no casualties. The Qataris are saying there are no casualties. As the negotiations resume, how do you now negotiate, as it seems as though there's been a battle that's been fought here?
Well, I think from the Iranian perspective, they're going to be done negotiating away nuclear arms, right? They're never going to come back to the table. It's highly unlikely. I'll never say never, but it's highly unlikely that they'll come back to the table to begin negotiating that. But we can broker a more stable Middle East. One of the things we could do is start withdrawing troops there. When we saw this strike started in Missouri and ended in Missouri, and they didn't use Doha, they didn't use Bahrain, they didn't use any of the outposts in Iraq, right? So we can launch strikes all the way to Iran from here at home. So we should really be drawing down a footprint because, as you see, these are targets, right? Mm-hmm. That base in Doha is a target. Those FOBs in Iraq are a target. Bahrain is a target. Other outposts throughout the Middle East, they have a bullseye on them.
Do you think that is exactly what the Secretary of Defense is asking for the president, to start retreating American soldiers from the Middle East?
I don't know what he's asking right now. I think it's a good idea. I know that he's talked about it in the past. I know that lots of restraint thinkers are thinking it's a good idea. If we're not looking at a full-on war with Iran, then pulling those people out of there slowly but surely, letting the Middle East kind of solve their own problems is really the path to the future.
And I think a lot of, in the political world, it seems as though many are divided, even in the Republican side, saying America first, let's let Israel fight their own fight. But clearly, nuclear weapons was a big, significant part of this. And I know that even European allies are congratulating the president for taking those sites out. And we'll see what's to come. Regardless, John, thank you for your insight.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.